Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to It's For You. We are to the fourth day of the 12 days of COP. And at this point in our day, this is the most important point in there. We have time allocated for prayers and meditation. These are prayers and meditation for ourselves, for the leaders who are in discussions in Dubai over their actions that they need to take. And it's also most important, and even more importantly, prayers, meditations for everybody who are engaged within this whole process, doing all the things that they can do to make our world into a better future and a richer world for everyone. And to join us today, we have Hafiz Mohammed Ali. I'm going to bring him on stage, and he's an assistant director of the BRB group, and he's kindly offered to help and lead our prayers meditation for today.
Thank you everyone. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سبح لله ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. Translation. With the recite, I'm giving translation as well because we understand the meanings, inshallah. Translation. Whatever is in the heavens and the earth glorifies Allah, for He is the Almighty, All-Wise. له ملك السماوات والأرض يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير. Translation. To him belongs the kingdom of the heavens and the earth. He gives life and causes death, and he is most capable of everything. هو الأول والآخر والظاهر والباطن وهو بكل شيء عليم. Translation. He is the first and last, the most high and most near. He has perfect knowledge of all things. هو الذي خلق السماوات والأرض في 6 أيام ثم استوى على العرش يعلم ما يلج في الأرض وما يخرج منها وما ينزل من السماء وما يعرج فيها وهو معكم أينما كنتم والله بما تعملون بصير. Translation. He is the one who created the heavens and the earth in 6 days. He established himself on the throne. He knows whatever goes into the earth and whatever comes out of it. and whatever descend from the sky and whatever ascends into in it. And He is with you wherever you are, for Allah is all seeing of what you do. له ملك السماوات والأرض وإلى الله ترجع الأمور. Translation: To Him belongs the kingdom of the heavens and the earth, and to Allah all matters are returned. صدق الله العظيم. Jazakallah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Sorry, I was muted. My apologies for that. And I just want to say thank you very much. And I'm thankful. I'm really grateful for the translation. And I heard very much that those early words when it said, "To Him belong the kingdom of heaven and earth." And
thank you, David. Thank you so much.
Everything.
It's a pleasure to be a part of this.
Thank you so much. And Tim, let us pass it over to you for you and Collins to carry on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David, and for taking us through that session together with Mohammed. And it was really nice, and a nice way to start us off on during our second segment of our 28 days of COP, day 4. And we're really great to have you to be your host, Collins and I. Collins, how are you doing?
Hello, team, and greetings from Nairobi, Kenya, and to our viewers. Glad to have you today. Hope you had a great day since we left our studio yesterday.
Awesome, great. And today we have a couple of lined up conversations and engagements that you're going to, to engage in and, just learn and on how best you can be able to take care of the environment. And Collins, to start us off, we're going to have some conversations from Malawi by an organization called Go Green. And they just let us know what they're doing as, as far as looking after our common home is concerned.
All right, thank you. I have a team from Nairobi. I just wanted to have them on stage to say hello to you. Before we start, I have Rakia. I would love her to say hello.
Hello, hi. My name is Rakia.
And
hi, my name is Rakia Bashir. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya, a colleague of Collins.
Thank you so much, Rakia. Nice to have you here.
I also have, my technical guy from the media, David. He can say hello.
Hello, everyone. Team Collins and the team, David. I greet you all. It is nice to be here, and I think it's one of its kind that we begin with the connection from the creator of heaven and earth. And I'm glad to be here and to engage. We shall be backstage when needed. Before the camera, we shall be there. Thank you, everyone.
You're much welcome. Nice to have you guys here. And now we go to Malawi. I'm privileged and honored to have guests from all the way from Malawi, Go Green, to conserve environment. I hope I've not butchered the name. And, I'm here with Moffat and Ethel from Green Save Environment from Malawi again. And we are here to engage in our 12 days conversation, under the theme of looking after our common home. And allow them to introduce themselves And we start with gentleman, Mr. Moffat, and then Ethel to introduce themselves. So kindly introduce yourself, tell us where you're joining us from, and your job title.
All right. Hello, good evening, good morning. I'm Moffat Kaunda from Go Green Save the Environment, Malawi, in Nkhata Bay. I'm the founder and executive director.
Thank you, sir. Kindly.
Hello everyone. I'm Ethel Mafilwa. I work with Go Green Save Environment Malawi as a programs director. Thank you.
You're much welcome, Ethel. So nice to have you, ladies and gentlemen. And allow me to start with you, Mr. Moffat. Would you kindly introduce Go Green Save the Environment to us and tell us what you do, and maybe share with us some of the projects that you've embarked on.
Okay. Go Green Save Environment is a local non-governmental organization based in Nkhata Bay, northern region, part of Malawi, and we are working at national level. Go Green was established on 20th of July 2017, and we are registered with Department of Registrar General, non-governmental organization board, which is Kongoma and Ngora. The following are among other projects that Go Green has initiated in Malawi. And as you know, Malawi has got 3 regions. So Go Green is working at national level, southern part, central, and northern. We do planting trees, plastic recycling projects, turning plastics into other reusable things like paving blocks, bricks. We do door-to-door garbage collection, aquatic life, gender briquettes making, and so forth. My colleague, I think she'll add more if I forgot some. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Moffat. And I'm impressed by the various projects that you're doing, which are totaling up or summing up to to our today's conversation, which is looking after our common home. When you talk about planting trees, when you talk about garbage collection, when you talk about collecting plastics and turning them into other usable products, that means promoting circular economy. Those are the initiatives that we're trying to propagate during these 12 days of COP, and it's really amazing. It's really great, and I think this is the way to go. And it's nice that Go Green has already started this. So, Madam Ethel, maybe to ask you, all these projects that you're doing, of course, they have some cost implication. And my question would be, how are you to get your resources that you need for these projects? And kindly, maybe you can shed light on that. How are you able to mobilize resources for these projects?
Okay. In terms of mobilization of resources, all these projects that Moffat has mentioned, for example, the door-to-door garbage collection, as well as tree planting, we've acquired the resources through contributions. Go Green has a number of volunteers, and maybe even from well wishers within the organization rather, they're able to assist through contributions, and then using those contributions, then we are able to work on our projects. But that being the case, we've also had some projects that have been funded. For example, the project known as abandoned fishing gear. Yeah, so abandoned fishing gear project has been one of the projects that has been funded. But then through Go Green existence, we've been having contributions within the organizations from the wishes in order to carry out our activities. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Ethel. And that is just to let you know, one of the things that we're also inviting people to do during these 12 days of COP is to redirect their spending to the people that they think they are doing something good to the planet. And Go Green is one of those people that I feel, from what you've shared, are people who we can engage or invite people to redirect their spending to people who are doing something good to the environment. And that's what we're doing. So yeah, we're inviting people during these 12 days of COP to redirect their spending to people who are making an impact to the environment. And maybe Mr. Moffat, maybe I come to you and and get to have your thoughts on maybe the challenges that you've encountered. You're the founder, so that means that you've seen this organization from its childhood state and to where it is right now. So maybe do you mind sharing with us some of the challenges that you've experienced, and also share with us some of the success stories that you've had?
Oh, all right. Yeah, we have challenges. Challenges is resources to run the projects. Like, we got a lot of projects we are doing, but we are doing on voluntary basis. So sometimes people they come to volunteer. After a few days they go away, because they can not just work as volunteers. Then they need something just to motivate them. Like us, we do our pocket contributions. Like we are almost 129 volunteers across the country. So, and the challenges, like if we got a project like door-to-door garbage collection, there's a lot of garbages in homes, restaurants, and lodges. So we needed to hire a truck to collect all those garbage to dump site where we do our sorting, like glass bottles separate, plastic bottles separate, and the other food stuff, we are turning it into organic manure so that farmers can buy. But since we started, we got piles of manures no one wants to buy. So we got a huge challenge, because we need resources to run the projects. And for the success, I think, Madam Programs, you add more on that. Thank you.
You're much welcome. You're much welcome, Mr. Moffat. And maybe now we can get to hear the other side of the story from Madam Ethel.
Thank you. In terms of success stories, I think we've seen our organization growing from maybe the past years up to now. We have seen some changes. We've experienced some milestones. One of it being that we've managed to have a large number of volunteers across the country. So a lot of people now are interested in working with us to benefit on volunteer basis. Yeah. We've also seen maybe community clubs as well as youth clubs. So we've registered a number of youth clubs and community clubs in general. So those clubs are the ones responsible for maybe even raising we are training them how to raise the tree nursery. We also teaching them how to do composting, and we also help them to advocate for climate change issues in their community. Yeah. So similarly for the youth clubs, it can be based at maybe village level, as well as it can be based on education level, where we go to schools and register these youth clubs. So we can see that we are really growing, even if the challenges, despite the challenges Mr. Moffat has mentioned. And in terms of even recycling, the briquette making, we are trying hard, and we have our small facility where we are able to work and do our activities, and also it's more or less like a hub of different youth that are coming in, and then they are able to showcase what product they can recover from the waste. Yeah, so you can see that we have really done a lot. Yeah, so in short, let me just stop there. But before I stop, we've also reached, we've done a number of cleanup exercises across the country, and both beach cleanups as well as maybe the market cleanups or in the public places. So I can see that through these cleanups, we are able to teach a lot of people to be responsible citizens, that they shouldn't, there is no one who can take care of their environment. They have to bear this responsibility of taking care of the environment. So through demonstration of these cleanups, as well as we are taking an advantage of these cleanups to educate different communities on the importance of taking care of the environment, and also ensuring that they do not just dispose the waste anyhow. Yeah, so in short, I think we are progressing, despite the challenges.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ethel.
So in addition, yes, in addition, like as we all work as volunteers, we are lacking of PPEs.
Okay.
We are lacking of that. As you know that after collecting garbages into government dumping site, and after maybe a day we go there sorting out. I think I will share with you the pictures. Then to go in that dumping site, we need PPEs. So that's our also main challenge, because we are running this organization from our pockets, where which has contribution within the organization. You see, like today, I go to fish, I sell my fish, then I donate something to the organization.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what is happening. Someone is selling bananas and he donated. And there's a number of schools calling us to reach them. But the challenge is transportation to reach those places. But now they've heard about us, what we're doing, and they do call us, but to reach there, it's a problem. Yeah, let me just stop here. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Moffat. And as I'm listening to you, I'm seeing the dedication and the resilience to keep pushing on amidst the challenges that you face, and this is what we are calling everyone for. That there are people who we don't have to go to COP. All of us, I know people are going to COP in Dubai, but you really don't have to go to COP. Instead, if we can use those resources that we might plan to go to COP with and redirect them to organizations like Green Save, Go Green Save, and help them, join hands, rally efforts, and help, do this great work they're doing. I think that will go a long way to, to help and rather mitigate the effects of climate change, as opposed to, paying for a ticket and going to Dubai and, and really not having as much impact as channeling those funds to such projects that you people are doing. So that is really inspiring. And maybe as we come to wind up, maybe Mr. Moffat, this goes to you, and it's about inspiration. I believe you are an inspiration to many people through what you're doing, and there could be someone out there, a group out there, that would want to, start something of the same nature or slightly different, but within the same line. So, what advice would you give them on maybe people who feel they want to embark on such a mission and they're at a crossroad? What piece of advice would you give them?
Let me hand over to Madam Programs. I think she will handle it clear than me. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. What I can say is, everybody has to have that passion of taking care of the environment. And also, there isn't anybody who can maybe take care of our environment than ourselves. So we should have that passion and the zeal to work and protect our earth, Mother Earth. And also in terms of those big institutions that are able to provide some finances, please, I call for help. Please support those organizations and institutions that are helping much in protecting the environment, because they are doing a lot. They have potential to do a lot, but they are limited just because of these financial resources that they can take them maybe to do more or show much impact. So the financial institutions should please try to help these local organizations, because these local organizations are the ones that experience the effect of climate change, are the ones that they witness these effects. So they're the ones that are responsible for um, working on local solutions, devising on local solutions that can be able to help the citizens of the respective countries. Yeah, so my call or my plea is to those organizations or institutions, global institutions that are providing funding, and also even the local NGOs, they have to keep it up. They have not to stop in their beautiful work that they are doing. Yeah, so let me stop here.
Okay, thank you so much, Madam Ethel. And finally, Mr. Moffat, maybe you can share with the audience where they can reach you, your social media accounts, your contact information, so that as you have said, we are inviting people to redirect their spending. So if there is somebody who would want to redirect his spending to the great work you're doing, so he can be able to reach out to you kindly,
Okay.
or any other engagement whatsoever.
Do I need to write or to say?
Just say it. It's fine.
Okay. If there's anyone needed to help us, you can reach us on this email address, office@gogreenmwi.org, or telephone number, that's WhatsApp, +265 88 114 2852. Thank you.
You're much welcome. So, ladies and gentlemen, that has been it. Okay.
So
Madam
in
Ella, carry on.
addition, they can also visit our website
Yes.
on www.gogreenmw. Yeah.
No, it's www.gogreenmwi.
Yeah.
.org.
Okay.
Yeah. And also
Yeah.
the first page, Go Green.
Go Green Malawi.
MWI. Yeah.
Okay.
Malawi did put in short MWI.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. It's been great engaging with you, and we look forward to take this conversation to the next level. And until next time, asanteni sana, as we say it here in Africa.
Asante.
Great. Richard, Collins, that's a conversation we had with Moffat and the team. Some time back, we recorded it. And, it was so interesting to hear about the great work they're doing. And what was catchy for me is, they are doing this from their heart. They're doing this from their pocket amidst the challenges that they're facing. And that for me was inspiring. And maybe I get few reflections from Rakia, our guest today, and from what she has gathered from the conversation. Rakia, Kenji?
Oh yeah, thank you. From what I've gathered is basically I would think it's a good idea if they could join the community clubs with university clubs so that it can cause more awareness to the youth and like help them in the future plans. Thank you.
You're welcome. Collins, you have any thoughts? You have any reflections on that?
Yes, thanks, Tim. And it's great hearing from Moffat and Ethel from Malawi. Very inspiring work. And as you mentioned, doing this from their hearts, like volunteering to just make sure they impact their communities in a very positive way. I'll pick up from what Raki actually mentioned about how uh, they can enhance their effectiveness when they are working with the youth clubs and the community clubs, and providing a linkage with the college and student clubs, and in that way, the the idea for volunteer can actually they can harness that power for the volunteer groups by basically allowing the students clubs to like put in their ideas and the innovations into the communities, and in that way also provides the potential for getting the we normally say it at the so you campaign ideas, getting ideas to fly, and so it's an opportunity for them to actually do that. But what inspired me mostly about their project is also about allowing the young people in the communities to showcase their uh, products, especially the the plastic recycling concepts. And I think yesterday, Tim, you have had a very inspiring story from the gentleman who is doing amazing work by basically just saying, hey, keep it. If you're eating your fruit, make sure you keep that seed so that we avoid the seed abortion concept you mentioned. And so, from what Moffat and Ethel mentioned, uh, those challenges about the volunteer and the aspect of financial, they can turn, I wouldn't even call them the challenges, but obstacles. They can look around that to actually just like tap into those as opportunities for young people to explore, to innovate, and to come up with ideas that can actually also support their livelihoods. So yeah, it's amazing, and I really applaud them for that, and look forward to being in Malawi one day to see their work. Thank you.
Sure. I too, we look forward to be in Malawi and participate, in those cleaning activities, just a way of making our home better. Now we are going to an interesting conversation, Collins, you had with Inga, with a lady called Fiona. So would you mind sharing with us what the conversation is all about? before we enjoy the conversation.
Okay. So thank you. So we had a conversation with Fiona. She's doing an amazing work from Nairobi, Kenya, working with the communities. And just yesterday, you were mentioning about the seed and the power of the seed. And I think Fiona brings in this concept where letting the seed grow now. And it's so inspiring to hear her story and how she has grown this passion right away when she was in college at the university, and her passion to actually just ensure that communities around where she's working pick this concept of the seeds and the trees, and sharing her information and training and just capacity building for communities to ensure we keep our planet green. And so I just look forward to the conversation, and hopefully let's get inspired. Yes, Tim.
Okay, I cannot agree more. Let's enjoy.
Come, let's play Start the Show.
I believe, I'm very passionate about integrating trees in agriculture, or like in our own homes. So my favorite tree to start with, and I will participate in this in this campaign, is trees that are native to Kajiado, and that's the acacia species. And acacia has so many. It's a whole family of trees, but they serve as our identity in our Kajiado County, and some variety of acacia trees have served as a purpose to warn the farmers that rains, are about to come, or that inform farmers that rains are about to come. And they do that by turning their flowers to either white or yellow. But if they do not turn, then it's an indication that it's not yet about to rain, so there's no need to farm. And there are other acacia trees that serve as food as well. It's a whole ecosystem of insects and birds, and the trees produce a white substance that is fed on by the insects, and then the birds feed on the insects. So that's my favorite type of tree, acacia. And also some acacia trees are nitrogen fixers for farmers as well. And some of them being umbrella shaped, specifically the acacia tortilis, they serve as very good shade for livestock, because Kajiado is a huge livestock production place. And some also, when times are really tough, like when we are experiencing drought and there's no livestock feed, their pods act as feed for the livestock. And yeah, it's just amazing to have and also to interact with planting more of this species in Kajiado, because we've had issues of deforestation because of the constant demand for charcoal, but we've been creating awareness towards leaving the indigenous trees there, and also doing away with the introduced exotic trees for wood purposes or for charcoal purposes. So I believe that tree growing is very essential in our homesteads, and they act, they bring balance, to nature, and also it's a place where you meditate. Place of trees is just, it comes with some inner peace to meditate around it. And I believe that we can always, have long-term maintenance of this species. And to also, it's very important to understand the ecosystem's needs and ensuring that these initiatives benefit both the environment and the communities that they serve. We recently, as a country, had National Tree Planting Day. That was a surprise holiday, and environmentalists like us were really happy about it. Some of them were really, it's an excuse to use money. But it just goes underway to say that we need to plant trees, and not just planting trees, but also letting people, or rather heavy capacity building on the importance of having these trees in our ecosystems. And we need to be informed on the right species in the right habitats, so that we do not introduce any exotic types to our homesteads. I can keep going with trees. Please put a stop on me. Yeah.
Thank you. Very, insightful comments from you, Fiona. And it's something that has sparked my, my mind is about the idea about the tree that warns farmers. And if I look at that story, it's like, a whole bell in a huge community of people who are, so busy. And here comes a bell ringer and saying, hey, it's time for either to prepare for class, or, prepare this for, the exam is coming. And from that perspective, and then you have brought in the idea about, the national agenda for the whole day. How do you imagine this book and the message that it can bring to the attention of the government in terms of not just the targets that we have for 1 billion trees, but also in terms of its significance for the communities, and especially for the indigenous communities?
Well, the government has a target of planting 15 billion trees by 2030. And to narrow it down to the citizens, they explained that each citizen has to plant at least 300 trees, in order to attain that target. Is it ambitious? Very ambitious. Is it achievable? We can really, put in all the efforts to do that. But people need to understand why we have, this target. There's so many agendas tied to some of these governmental targets. I understand that. And they're allowed to think that way because, in politics, it's a very wide topic. But here we are looking at trees for our benefits, and we need to understand that, we have to have a why. Why are we planting these trees? Why do we see a need to incorporate agroforestry in our systems of farming? And that's because I think, like I said earlier, is to understand that these trees, or to select the trees that benefit both the ecosystem around them, because of course we want to have our local ecosystems balance, but also to serve the communities that we have. Like, we need to expand, even in the terms of economic sense, is to have trees that benefit, people economically. For example, there are people that still rely on wood, so they can still plant. One system of agroforestry is to have heavy pruning. So they can still prune these trees and stimulate their further growth. And with the pruning, it's going to help with cleaner energy solutions like making of charcoal briquettes and all that. And they can also go to the path of making trees for oil or for nuts or for fruits. For example, we can have they can plant, for example, when you plant eucalyptus trees, there are some eucalyptus species that, okay, yes, eucalyptus is exotic to Kenya, but it has been mostly planted here. So when it's a tree that takes up so much water from the ground, yeah. So when you want to do damage controls for that, you can plant it along with banana tubers that absorb so much water. Indigenous trees for nitrogen fixing, more indigenous trees for having, setting up some birds and to be able to have a balance between. And for the trees that are already existing, set up bees in those, like for example, in a savanna ecosystem. So it's to find the benefits to serve you both in your ecosystem and both economically. And I believe that when we go to that direction, we'll be able to to have more people adopt to tree planting. Because right now in Kenya, there's a particular mentality when it comes to conservation efforts of growing trees. And we know that more, the organizations that are putting effort towards growing trees. But it's just that, there are other companies that also are doing it for PR, and which is good to do CSR, community social responsibility. But I still believe there should be heavy emphasis on the follow-up on how the trees are doing, because most times we are planting and then we're going to put it on social media that we are planting, but what happens to the trees? Who is left to take care of this or to water this particular tree? Or are you just going to leave it to the rain? They're really unpredictable. So I believe that every step of tree planting needs a strategy, starting from the soil conditions. So having to prepare your soils, having to prepare the right species, having to identify the benefits that come with it, and also, having to, protect these trees from any, harsh conditions. So it's very important to have heavy capacity building, even as we try to achieve the national targets of having 15 billion trees in Kenya. And that's 30% forest cover. Very ambitious.
It's very ambitious. It's very ambitious. But you're so right that the trees needs to have some kind of care as being part of the looking after the trees. It's like looking after a baby for all the way to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, maybe.
Yes.
So, but I know that we also have this thing about planting trees along the coastline, like mangrove trees, looking after the farmers and the fisheries and protecting the shore. And of course, many places mangroves are taken away because of it's a touristical resort and hotels. But the mangroves do protect birds, do protect fish. We need everything because the climate change and the heat and the drought is very dangerous. We don't know how it will be in 5 years or 10 years. We don't know. But also the thing about food farming in inner cities and that schools can have food gardens and kitchen gardens, so we can learn it from an early childhood to have this kind of community-based learning camps for learning about climate. I also like to say that, this is system thinking. One system is connected to another one. For example, waste management. How do we take care of waste management? That can also create charcoal. And, the brown soil, so we can start avoiding the cutting of trees for cooking food. It's but still to have a quality lifestyle on and looking after the greenery and the trees. So I think it's so much to learn from other places on the planet, like good examples from India or United States, with this more or less the same climate that in Kenya, can be of useful insights. So Collins, over to you. Do you like to present more about what you're doing with the EACCGN also?
I think for what Fiona had picked up from her points, I know we have a few minutes before we finish our first session. Probably I just wanted to, because I wanted to connect that with the students, the ECGN students and their programs, and because she's directly working with the communities, I wanted to just hear from her perspective what challenges she has encountered working with local community groups, and what opportunities are there that students can actually tap into. And I'm glad she talked about the economic side of it in the greening projects. So probably share briefly the challenges and opportunities that these student networks can actually also tap into.
Okay, so before I address that, I'd like to say with our community, youth-oriented community-based organization, that's Greener Communities Program, we've started out with schools, and we currently have a project where we are identifying 20 schools per region in Kajiado County. So that's in total 100 schools, because there are 5 regions, and the schools serve as a pilot towards agroforestry plots, and that also starts with us forming an environmental club and creating awareness on what we are about to do together, and also gather opinions, their opinions and expertise as well. And also we give assignments, because I'm a teacher. We give assignments on they are supposed to go and talk to their communities, whether it's their grandmother or their parent, on what type of trees really serve them, tailor their needs specifically. And it's just powerful how information can be able to shape science, and we've had information on this type of tree helps with there are type of trees that help with their livestock. They just rub it on their livestock and it cures any issues that they have with skin issues, and other trees have served, they really serve medicinal purposes. So we've tried to be able to gather such data with the students, and our work is to identify these trees in their locality. And also we have some of the assignments on gathering seeds as well. So, and with the seeds, the students are supposed to propagate at their homes, but we do bring the seedlings to the schools and also donate some of the seeds to the community as well to plant with farmer groups. So students, we work with students, especially on a university level, and we take them to the students that are on a lower level, for example, the primary school or the secondary school. So, and it has been amazing experience, and we've had feedback from even the students that we work with on a university level that this helps me heal my younger child, having to interact with the kids and just with all their innocence. And it's been an activity as well for, because we've also worked with a rehabilitation center, and it has also been a coping mechanism, a healthy coping mechanism for them, and in their journey of having to quit, abusive drugs. And I'd say the challenge, number one challenge is because we access these remote areas. That will be the transport part of it. The resources to be able to access these areas, or have, spend time with the kids, and having to transport the seedlings or identify it's just a whole, it's a bit stressful to be able to navigate through that with the resources. And we hope that we will have a collective multi-stakeholder collaboration with the students and the student associations, or like other stakeholders that want to come together to be able to do that, because this is not which brings the second challenge of having to bring people together. Diverse stakeholders have diverse needs, so having to find that common ground is still a challenge, but we are working on it, because at the end of the day, it's not a 1 month initiative. We really want this to be community-based, community-led, and we hope that stakeholders will be able to, have their ground on this. So, and we also have the issue of misconceptions, that, most times having to deal with cultural challenges as well. When we started out, we had to go through particular sets of men to be able to address the community, but we later on understood that it's culture, that you have to go through barazas or certain councils of men to be able to address the community. So it's a challenge that we are also, that's an opportunity as well to align our needs with culture. And other than that, I don't think there's there's one more challenge of resistance, because people will just want to plant trees and leave it there, but the culture of having to nurture this tree has been a challenge, but it is still a work in progress. It's a learning opportunity for all of us. So now, when with the work that you're doing, Collins, I think, for me, I in my opinion, I believe that through a task force, having to unite all these forces together, and people with similar interest, and people will take in certain roles. There are people who cannot plant trees actively, but they can do research. There are people who cannot, do the research or the planting, but they can do aftercare, So having different task force within certain regions would really work. And having centers where, like I talked to you about, having a botanical garden, having centers where we can do piloting of this particular species and their relation to each other, different types of trees. So those are some of the opportunities that we can look into, and of course the economic value of it, because there are trees that are really good at biomass, and that's an opportunity to be able to make compost that are good for the soil, and other opportunities of harvesting fruits, other opportunities of making essential oils from these trees. I think that will be a motivating factor as an opportunity to be able to aftercare for the trees, so that it's not just a national agenda of growing trees, but also something that is tailored to our specific needs as students or as youths. And whatever students are studying for, they can always try and align it to conservation and the work or their contribution towards the community. I hope that's answered.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Fiona. Yeah, well captured. Over to you, Inga. I know we have a few minutes to wind up. Thank you so much, Inga. I'm glad having Fiona, and amazing to hear her story. And all I can say is it's possible. The little positive things we do every day do matter. And it's high time that the youth take their position. It's high time that they take the opportunities, turn their challenges and obstacles into opportunities to make the world a better place. It's for you. Thank you.
My call to action is, or my message is that, no action is too small, and our collective actions can create a lasting impact. So let's all put our differences aside and channel our diverse expertise and contributions towards a common goal of us, preserving our environment for both the benefit of our generation and the generation to come. So yes, thank you so much. Let's all nurture nature together.
Transformational ownership, Hey yo, listen, everyone.
Stop.
That was great, and it was, sorry for that technical hitch. It was a nice conversation, Collins, I believe. And and maybe I would want to get your reflection, now that you are the one interviewing the part of the team that interviewed her. What came into your mind? What did you get from this?
Thank you, Timothy. Yeah, I gather very critical, inspiring perspective from Fiona. But before that, I feel like I need to hear more from our friends who are actually joining us today. And I want to bring in Jordan. Hey, Jordan. Hi.
Yes. Hi, Collins. How are you?
Fine, bro. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
Yes. I know you came in a bit slightly late, but I just wanted to hear your perspective. I know you are doing amazing work as well on the trees growing aspects. You're working the communities. You're in charge of the student society, environment society, and before I share my perspective, I just wanted to hear what do you pick from what Fiona has said. Okay. Yes, Jordan, you can hear me? Hello. Okay, so I think we are having trouble getting Jordan. So Tim, let me bring in. Okay. Yes, Jordan. I think we are having trouble getting you, but maybe from David. I know you have been listening to Fiona, and amazing work she's doing with the communities. What do you gather from her story?
Yeah, thank you very much, Collins. And I've listened to Fiona very keenly, and I think just to mention this, it takes me quick to we were talking about the book of trees, and I remember us talking about what comes into your mind when you the book of trees is mentioned into your mind. And I listened to Fiona speak and how she's eloquent in even mentioning these various trees. And she mentioned one of the part of the country that is Kenya, Kajiado, which is an arid and semi-arid area. The amount of rainfall received there is average. And she went deep and to explain to us some of the trees that are being grown there and what are some of the why are they important there to the local people around that place. And I just love how she had addressed such points and her passion toward tree growing, and more specifically to know which tree to grow. I think there has been such a I mean such a speech in our country where people have been advised what tree to grow and in what area. I don't want to mention any, but there are trees grown when they're grown somewhere. You realize that their roots go down and they make some water catchment dry. And I listened to Fiona speaking. She mentioned about acacia and several variety of acacia trees. I just love how she addressed this. And actually, if this is what she's doing in the ground, then I must believe that this is brilliant and is impacting the community. It's also important to know that some of the trees are economical, some of them are medicinal, we get medicine from various trees. And she has highlighted, she has, break that break those trees down and explain to us, how it's being done. This is a whole topic, a brilliant topic. When it is being mentioned about trees, all these issues that you're talking about can be solved by the growing of trees. You also mentioned where I mean the holiday that we had here in Kenya for planting trees, which was awesome actually, and people came out and the target that the government put across, that they need 15 million trees. She also broke down to us that for at least for us to aim that, then we need at least every individual to plant the trees, the 300 trees, which is very much possible if we have people like her and many other in the ground who are making a change and making a difference down on the ground. On the ground there. So therefore, just to sum up, is to say that I'm really touched with her story. I'm really touched on what she's doing. Even with her organization, and I think I'm also lucky that I have been in one occasion with her. I mean, not one but two. And actually, whenever she comes into, she's welcome to address probably the community, or rather to address any platform. You realize that she has a tendency of coming up with some seedlings and giving it to residents, or rather people who came to an occasion. That tells us that there are people who are carrying this as a they're carrying this as a problem solving, because we have a problem. Yes, climate issues is there. I mean, people are doing deforestation, but for how long are we going to lament? It is a high time that we come and have some strategies. And I listened to Fiona and I saw that a strategy have been laid down and a plan is there and something is being implemented. You also mentioned the challenges. Of course, there is no journey without challenges, but however, if the young people will come together in solidarity and address these issues, like the COP28 is taking place in Dubai. I believe there are young people there. Actually, I was following and I was seeing young people, addressing some issues, and that is the way to go. Every platform that we get, any activity that we get, to address these issues, and we try and be problem solvers in the ground. So generally, I'm touched with the interview. Thank you very much, Collins, for bringing Fiona on board. I think bringing such people and such minds, is one way of taking a step ahead. And as our moderator, David Cole, usually says, that we better take, small step, but we are heading to the right direction, because I believe addressing these issues in such a matter and such an angle mean that we are heading somewhere. And seeing some young people, brilliant mind coming together, selfless, doing what Mother Nature like, then I believe that we have a beautiful, world to live in tomorrow. So that's what I can say for the speech. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, David. Jordan, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly now. So Fiona mentioned about the need for us to understand the ecosystem needs first, and there's an aspect she talks about, the I will call it the power of collaboration, where she talks about this task force so that we understand each group doing this, and when we join that forces together, we kind of have a very sustainable and impactful uh, you know projects. How does that like uh, I know you have been doing this. Just mention something you pick from those statements and what you pick from what Fiona discussed.
Oh yeah, I think the work Fiona is doing is very important, and I applaud her for what she's doing. I believe that information is the fuel that drives us towards change. So if we know that there's a problem, then we can be motivated to wake up and do something. But if we continue existing not knowing that there's issues going on, then we really can't do much. So I believe that Fiona's work actually precedes what we're doing in my club. So I really applaud her. I really congratulate her for what she's doing. And I like the way she also brought up the challenges that they faced and how they're also able to use ecological solutions to solve them, like planting bananas with other trees that need water. It was very insightful. So sure there's a lot more that she can share with us and inform us on. And I really look forward to interacting with her on another day. But yeah, I believe what she's doing is very important. The work is very important, and this is the one of the purposes of COP28. It's to share ideas and information like this. In addition to that, I also heard her mention that she'd love to partner with clubs, with organizations of people who have an environmental aspect, so that she can be able to give them the information and then those people do it. She mentioned that not everyone can do exactly everything that needs to be done. Some people might plant trees, some people might be able to get information, and some will just deal with the aftercare, which is actually very important because a tree's life is not just the day it's planted, it goes on even afterwards. I congratulate Fiona. She's doing great work. Hopefully, one day we'll be able to work together. She can give us the information that we need, and then we'll be able to enact some change of some sort. But I really value tree planting and the information regarding trees. In fact, today a student called me and asked me if they could plant trees on campus just today, and they wanted to plant 5, but we ended up planting 8 trees. So just like I was telling you, Collins, on I think last Friday, that when someone wants to plant 1, I'll give them 2 trees. So I'm really happy about what Fiona is doing, and look forward to working with her hopefully in the future. Back to you, Collins.
Thank you, Jordan. Thanks, David, too. Just to, you have mentioned something, and I feel like when you're talking about you're looking forward to partner with the, Fiona and the kind of work you're doing. I know David from the other end of the studio. Probably, I know as we run the It's For You campaign, and I get, a number of youth asking questions about, where do we start? How can we partner? From where you sit, Jordan, why do you think that initiating such projects or a platform like this, where we are saying it's for you, which means it's your time to showcase and to share your idea on the table for for the world. why do you think it's such an important thing to have, forums like this where we can, share ideas to just understand what other people are doing around? And probably for also David, I know probably where Fiona mentions about working with the communities, how important is information in actually driving change for young people who actually want to kickstart something in their communities. I'll start with you, Jordan.
Yes, to answer your question, I think forums like these, engagements like these, discussions like these are important because the main reason I feel they're important is because ideas exchanged. The ideas turn into a conversation turns into a deliberation, and then so on and so forth until it becomes policy. And I feel that's the most important way we can actually enact change. That's the most substantial process that would actually yield the most fruits. Personally, there's only so much I can do. There's only so much Fiona can do. But if we have situations like in China where they have grain for green policy, where they encourage people to plant more trees and create more creases, then you have the whole country and hopefully the whole world uniting against a common cause. And I believe that's what really makes a substantial change. What we do, and I agree with you, whatever we do, no action is too small to make a difference. But at the same time, I also believe that the best way to make a difference is through policy. So if we're able to exchange ideas, if we're able to have these conversations, if we're able to recognize that there's a need to do something and the way to do things are through changing policies, then by all means, we can definitely make some substantial change. I know that in Rwanda, they have a zero plastic policy. Not sure how well that is implemented, but I know that the policy is in place. So wherever you go, when you're crossing the border, entering Rwanda, they'll seize the plastic you have. If there's any plastic, people know that it's not supposed to be laying around and it's cleaned up. But if it was one person, one organization, one company cleaning up all the plastic in Rwanda, it would not work. So if we're able to mimic that and have a policy in Kenya or a policy around the world that says do things a certain way, plant a certain amount of trees. If you
Okay, thank you, Jordan. Sorry for that. Maybe from David, I just wanted also to hear your perspective. What do you pick from that?
Yeah, thank you very much, Collins. I think you asked the most important question about communication and about awareness. They say information is power, and we have our history as Africans, and there is our way of living, and education also it came up to take us from one level to another. And, a lot of things are happening, and we don't have that awareness. It is upon us to go to the ground, to the grassroots, to the indigenous people, to take the information that is required. For example, let me just go back to what Fiona talked about it and the angle that I gave a lot of strength on it about the indigenous trees. Is unless we give awareness about which tree to grow and in which season to grow, otherwise we'll just grow anything. And we'll realize we'll grow trees that will take us to drought areas. We also have sorry for that. I don't know where I missed, but anyway, let me just cover up from the growing of indigenous trees. So taking this information to the people is crucial, is very, very, very important. And that's why we have awareness. And I've seen a lot of NGOs coming up. I've seen a lot of group of young people coming up, a lot of students joining together and going to the villages and taking information there. We need the right information to reach, the people in the grassroots, those, because you realize that there is a rural to urban migration, and if all of us come to the urban areas, you realize that less is going to be done. But if we come here and acquire the knowledge and acquire, those skills, then we take back to the people in the rural areas, to the indigenous areas, then we'll be able to impact. And you realize that we will have made a step ahead. So Collins, as you asked about the community, how to engage it, how to take information, I still request that we need to do that. We need to go to the grassroots, explain to the people to the language that they do understand, give them the right information, even the right skill. We had an interview just a few days ago with another lady who is doing the smart agriculture. You realize that most of the arid and semi-arid areas, it is unless we employ and come up with a new style of farming, new style of keeping livestock. Personally, I'm from Kajiado. There is a way we used to keep livestock. You realize that you find one man having 30 head of cattle, but when you go to milk, maybe in a day he gets from the 30 head of cattle, he gets milk that one person who have a fresher milk can get probably in the evening and even in the morning. So there is a new system of farming, and it is coming to us. So there is a sense at which we need to take that information to the people in the grassroots, empower them, and you realize that when they are empowered, a lot of things going to happen. We also tell them about keeping the environment clean, deforestation, because we realize that some of them burn the issue of charcoal, burning for charcoal. Go give them an alternative. I really like that point, because we realize most of the climate justice activists, they just lay out a problem. But I like laying out a problem and trying to find a solution. Give people an alternative. Tell them, stop cutting trees. You can use this. A few days ago, with another team of ICCB, they came into the ground and they were teaching people about a new fertilizer in the market, an organic fertilizer that is impacting and taking proper information into the people in the grassroots. And you realize if we are able to empower those people in the grassroots, then we shall be in the safer side. So from where I stand, Collins, that information, that communication need to be a channel, need to be a chain from up to down, from down to up. That's my take.
Okay, thank you so much, David. Maybe just to pick the last one as we close up. There's something Fiona mentioned from her project about tree planting for a rehab center project as a coping mechanism, and that kind of touched my heart a little bit, to just understand how far we can go in terms of nurturing nature and the benefits that all this brings along. Jordan, how do you any comment about that, and probably the many ideas around just ensuring that nature has a way of bringing healing to our our lives. Yes, Jordan.
Oh, sorry, I didn't get that question. Could you please repeat, Olasana?
Okay, no problem. I was just mentioning as we come to as we wind up that Fiona's story about the project they actually doing with the rehabilitation center, sorry, and the aspect about bringing in the tree planting project as a way of healing and coping mechanisms for young people. And I was just reflecting on that and saying how how does it reflect back on you, and just the understanding that indeed nature has a special way of how it brings healing to our lives.
Oh yes, definitely. I believe trees and nature altogether has mental benefits. Definitely in areas with green spaces, people are more mentally happier. Even in USIU, if you walk into a library, the first thing you see is a tree in the middle, in like a small garden. Yeah, so definitely green spaces, tree planting, definitely helps with coping mechanisms, with mental, just your mental health. Yeah, I believe it also makes the area you're living in much more habitable. So if it's in a rural area, maybe they're suffering with dry and cold and hot temperatures. Introducing trees can actually reduce the temperature. It can make the area more wet. It can bring in more ecological balance. You'd rather wake up to birds singing in the trees than cars on the road. So yeah, I believe what Fiona is saying is factual, and this is why I want to work with her a lot more, because she has so much insight, and I believe it's important. So yeah, thank you, Collins.
Thank you so much. Maybe David, as we wrap up, Fiona mentions about a tree, the book of tree, and she started off by saying it's a place to meditate. For David, if I was to ask you to close your eyes for a minute and then ask you the book of tree, what comes to your mind, and what is it that you can picture around the book of trees?
Sorry for that. Thank you, Collins, for that question. And I think you sounded practical. So let me close my eyes. I mean, when I think of the book of trees, in line to what Fiona spoke about, I see a peace of mind. And now allow me to open my eyes and explain this. This is what I mean. And Fiona said that with trees, sometimes it's a therapy. It can give you a very good peace of mind. And I've seen a lot of people, especially right now we're in the festive season. And most of the people in the urban areas will travel to rural areas. And having that time out there, they will come being refreshed. When you use a computer for a long time, sometimes you right click and you click refresh, and the computer is being refreshed. That is the same thing that happened with trees. When you go there, just as Jordan has mentioned, there is a melody of birds. There are fruits you cannot lack in the forest. So it's just interesting. When I was a young boy, let me just touch on this because you have said as we wind up. When I was a young boy, I grew in a pastoral community and a pastoral family. And we used to go to do grazing of animals, and those were a big head of cattle that time. And we could go to the forest. And trust me, in the morning, we could only take a cup of milk. And I don't remember a scenario where we came back for lunch. So the forest provided, trees provided. We could play there as boys. And once we come back in the evening, we're just okay. That tells you that a tree is a peace of mind. It is somewhere that when when you are there, if you have stress, like us right now, we are running up and down. I think, and we should all buy this after we are done with this. Find a forest somewhere, just sit down, cool down under a tree, and have your juice. And I believe all is going to be well. So for me, a book of tree is a peace of mind. Thank you very much, Collins.
All right. Thank you so much, David. Thank you, Jordan. Maybe Jordan, I should pick out your last words as we come to the close of the session. What's your message to it feels afresh when I hear from you. When you
Thank you.
speak your last call for young people, especially in colleges. We are in a holiday. We initially had a story from Malawi. They are doing amazing work over there. Uh, and yesterday we had, stories across from Pakistan, from India, across the world. So what's your message?
So you wanted to hear my closing remarks?
Yes, I just wanted to hear your closing remarks. Yes, and your message to the young people. I know we are quite a number of young people are on holiday, and a message to them about this book of tree and what benefits it brings to the society.
Yeah, I think it's very important what we're doing, what we're discussing. Like we had mentioned before, rather I had mentioned before, we are only custodians of the environment. We don't own any water, we don't own any tree, we don't own any air. We're only using it when we are here. And that means that however we use it right now depends on how the world our children will live in. And in addition to that, information is the fuel that drives us towards change. So if we know there's a problem, we can wake up and we can initiate change. And a very good example is how in Kenya there's been a shift from rural communities using the regular stoves or just 3 pieces of rock with firewood in between to now using clay jikos, which are more efficient, they lose less heat and they cook longer. So the work that Fiona is doing is what has actually been able to bring about change like that. Change whereby we notice that there's a lot of wastage in the fuel being used and there's ways we can optimize it. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what Fiona's work will bear. But yeah, like we said before, information is the fuel that drives us towards change. Yeah. Thank you, Colin.
Thank you, Jordan. Jordan, stay put, because I have another guest here, Victor Solitei, and I want just to bring him on stage and hear briefly his story and the work he's doing as well. So, Victor, welcome. I don't know if Victor can hear me. Amazing. So, thank you, Victor. Thank you, and glad having you today. We are live, and we just wanted to bring you in to hear briefly. I know we are closing this, but to hear the kind of work we are doing. We have been talking about trees, about the book of tree, about amazing work of people who are doing, amazing work in the communities. We had a discussion from a team from Malawi, their projects of plastic and trees, and just empowering youth in the communities. Jordan is here with us also. I know with time we'll get to hear also what he's doing in Kenya with the United States International University. So just briefly introduce yourself and tell us briefly what you're doing around keeping our planet green. Welcome, Victor.
Thank you very much, Sir Collins. It's such a privilege to be here. Sorry, I've joined in a little bit late, but I'm excited to interact, and I'm so excited to see fellow climate champions. My name is Victor Solitei. I'm currently finishing my 4th undergraduate at St. Paul's University. And hello? Hello?
Yes, carry on, Victor. We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I'm currently finishing my undergraduate at St. Paul's University. And apart from what I do in leadership, and because I'm also pursuing communications, I am a climate champion. I recently ran a program at Kajiado County, where I come from. It's called Reclaiming Kajiado Greenery, where we planted 2,000 trees together with my friends and youths in Kajiado County. It was the first phase. We're planning to do the second phase this December, before the end of this December. We have actually a plan to do a sensitization program with the Dedan Kimathi Foundation on 15th of the month. I think it's almost, actually, we're almost there in 1-2 weeks time. We have a number of things that we'll be doing, just sensitizing the community on the importance of conserving the environment and taking care of everything that God has given us, and ensuring that we're living in a clean environment, planting trees, and making this our culture and our daily routine. Taking care of the trees and even planting the ones that have not been planted yet. So moving forward, our plan is to ensure, just as the word suggests, reclaiming the Kajiado greenery, because we realized Kajiado, we live in a place where we are struck by lack of water. You know, a lot of we have rain, seasonal rains, and at times we go through very intense periods, or rather seasons, where people really get a lot of hunger. The animals that we depend on, because pastoralists depend on the livestock, they all die, and so they go through a lot of things. And we're trying now to reclaim the glory of Kajiado County by bringing in the aspect of planting the trees and ensuring that the people understand the importance of having water catchment areas and the importance of maintaining a good environment. So I think that will definitely, in the coming years, by 2030, we will have a big impact. So lastly, in the first phase, we planted 2,000 trees. We're now going to do a sensitization. We're going to do an analysis of how those trees have been kept as well, because sustainability of the trees is very important. We planted the trees in 20 schools and the 50 homesteads that have access to water and fenced compounds. And so on 15th, we'll now be going to do sensitization. We have already mobilized a number of youths. We'll be meeting on a central place, and then we'll be telling them many things together. We're doing this in partnership with the Kimathi Foundation. And then now the word will keep on spreading. The second phase, we'll do it come next year, God willing, January. It's going big and better. We really love partnerships, and we're looking forward to develop and have more, even from here. Thank you for your comments.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Victor. Glad having you. And we'll be able to, connect with your story with other amazing, young people across the world who are doing this, so that, we keep sharing our ideas and exchanging, our projects around, just to inspire and to, get people, look at what you're doing, to direct their spending to, great things such as what you're doing, and other people like Jordan and others. So I know we are closing up. I just wanted to say thank you. Let's connect again probably tomorrow for our session. So I want to bring in Tim. Tim, thank you. Yes, Tim, welcome back.
Thank you so much, Collins. And it was a great conversation you gentlemen had. Just giving your thoughts about the conversation by Fiona, which I personally find very interesting, and having some thought-intriguing questions. But for now, let's hold it there. And, we get some incredible conversation, a recording that was done by Richard on our segment on I Want to Sing. Remember, that is one of our activities that we'll be engaging on these 12 days of COP. And we want to have a conversation. He did a recording with a great man called Matoko about I Want to Sing. Let's hear what they have to say. Stay put.
Cafe with Makoto-san and David Coe while I'm at home, in the comfort of my home, I might add, on this rainy, ugly November day. Great to have you here. Thank you so much for making us fit into your very tight London schedule. Thank you. And
thank you very much. So let me quickly introduce myself very quickly, because I have a different hats. So I'm working for the largest life insurance company in Japan, which is called Nippon Life. And I'm responsible for international affairs, government relations of the company for so far 16 years. With United Nations, G20, APEC, OECD, IFRS Foundation, BIS, World Bank, IMF. This is my proper job in the company. So for the past 10 years, I have been serving as a Sherpa for the working group established by APEC finance ministers on the role of promoting the role of long-term institutional investors to support sustainable, resilient, inclusive development of Asia-Pacific region. So in APEC, I was serving somewhat like an icon for the high-level recommendation sent to finance ministers on what we can be done what we can, for example, just achieve as the recommendation as a public-private partnership. That was a very serious job-related responsibility that they have been doing. So this year, 10th year already, and we have just got endorsement from APEC finance ministers during the APEC finance ministers meeting in San Francisco in November by actually the Secretary Yellen of the Department of Treasury Department of U.S. is actually was chairing this year's APEC. So this is my first involvement on the sustainable development. So we have been doing for 10 years. This means that we have already working more even before the SDGs was approved at the United Nations. So this is how I started working on this. And then as a Sherpa, I wrote maybe 100 pages in English about why it is important, what we can be done, what are the impacts. Nobody read. So we were wondering how many people actually read the document that I wrote. I'm not an English native speaker, but still I wrote 26 pages on the recommendation. Nobody, except for the co-authors, for those people who are engaged in SDGs by the big companies and investors who have already known the sustainable issues. And then we are feeling that unless we mobilize the people who don't care SDGs, who have never heard of climate actions or climate challenges, those people should be invited. So it's not insurance, it's not theory, it's not formula. So that's why I just thought that maybe entertainment would be a better way to gather people and just entertaining them at the same time educate them. So our goal is to replace completely the word education by edutainment. So we bring the entertainment for any level of education, from children to grown-ups. So this is how we started this idea. And first I started from music. For example, we organize a music concert. We bring the artists to the international meetings, such as OECD meetings, APEC meetings, United Nations headquarters. I brought the musicians, and when I was making a speech, we organized a reception for United Nations Principal Responsible Investing at the Tokyo Tower, and I organized the concert, and that was sponsored by Nippon Life. That's why that concert was actually part of my life as a music producer, international phase of the largest asset owner in the country, would be commingled now. So this is how So this is my life to Dubai. And then after Dubai, I immediately flying to Frankfurt and Munich. And then I meet the policymakers and we negotiate on what should be supported by us. So this is kind of my professional life. But also for music side, I sometimes combine the Japanese musicians. And then since the foreign people love anime, so sometimes I organize the anime concerts. Like Ghibli movies, very, very popular here in London, for example. Totoro musical was all fully booked. Now we are turning the Totoro music to jazz. And we are planning to have a jazz concert here in London and Paris and also the Netherlands or maybe Italy. And then it's an anime concert, but with a jazz or other Japanese traditional instruments or maybe rock and roll, many different ways of on the anime. And we call it SDGs Anime Festival. And SDGs, so S like Sailor Moon, Slam Dunk, and then like a D like a Demon Slayer, Dragon Ball, Disney, G like a Ghibli, Gundam, Gegen no Kitaro, Galaxy 1999. So it's like SDG.
Very clever.
And we are having a concert and inviting other artists. And we are planning to do this in many different places. So next year, I'm thinking of having a concert and also a conference in Hong Kong, inviting the maybe ISSB as a keynote speakers and ended by my music performance. Another story is my life story. So my mother is actually a painter, but I had some of the tragic history of my life. So when I was 6 years old, the exact year for the expo in Osaka. So my father and mother divorced, and then I was just put under the custody of my father. And my mother was instructed not to see me for the next 20 years. That was a promise made. So for 20 years, my mother disappeared from my life completely. So I did not know even my mother was alive or not. So, and then all the things that reminded my mother has been completely destroyed and removed from my life. So from 6 to 26, my mother did not exist at all. And how my mother's dream was to make myself as a abstract painter, just like her. But that dream just put an end at the age when I was 6 years old. And then for the next 20 years, since she was not allowed to approach to me, she has something to remind me. For example, one of this is like the letter from the grandfather to my mother celebrating the birth of me. The second one is the notebook on which I draw some pictures about the Osaka Expo, and also some of the paintings actually was talking about biodiversity. So at the age of 6 already, I was very interested in that subject. And actually, that painting was trying to tell the people that there is the connection of the three things. The pollution from the factories would affect on the somewhat like a fish or birds. It's like a combination of fish and bird flying in the air.
Yeah.
And it was affected by the pollution of the factory ash, and that would have a negative impact on the paddy fields in agriculture. So this is kind of topic of the painting that drawing that I draw at the age of 6. So it was a souvenir for 20 years when my mother left me. And then now when we got together, the first one was the postcard from my mother when I was 26 years old, suddenly arrived in my house. And then she said that now I'm allowed to see you, so please come to my exhibition. And my mother was a member of the Salon de Paris in France. And abstract painting was like kind of, and then that book was returned to me, and that became the souvenir because my mother already passed away when I was in New York. So the idea is that now I'm teaming up with a digital artist in Japan, professional digital artist. He is very moved from this life story. And then he wanted to make this painting as a digital art. So now based on the drawing that I drew at the age of 6, he's now creating the motion and put the color, and also it's a kind of a short movie type of art, digital art based on my drawing, and put the original music. He's also a musician, and inviting the singer, and the singer is actually singing over that original song, and then it's like digital art, music, and singing, thinking of bringing this digital art to Dubai. And then as the biodiversity, very early stage, 6 years old, it's like, I don't know, like 50 something years ago. And then it was
very impressive
year that the Osaka Expo took place. And now we are coming back to Osaka for this year, 2025. So it's like kind of maybe this story might be one of the topics that we can promote during the Osaka in Dubai. How this digital art, what kind of value that can be put into this life story and digital art and the biodiversity story. And it was about the time that the United Nations started the environmental program. It was 50 years anniversary took place last year, so it means that a little bit before that So I was talking about the biodiversity and environmental issues before the United Nations started working on the subject. But at the age of 8, I lost my mother already disappeared from my life, but I just continued to work on this. And at the age of 8, at the exactly the year that the United Nations started, UNEP. So I have the United Nations simulation at my house, inviting my elementary school students, pupil, to my house. And my grandfather from the fatherhood actually decorated my house with a national flag just to show that it's a United Nations headquarters. And then we talk about pollution of water, pollution of air, and world peace. The 3 topics has been discussed, and Secretary General was my staffed panda. And I just served for my Secretary General staff panda, and I drafted all the agenda and reports and discussions, but we have already started working on this when I was 8 years old. So that kind of all my childhood actually influenced how I'm now working with United Nations and UN NGOs or the institutional investors to promote the things that I have already working on at the age of 6. So this is kind of very long story of my life.
But it's a fantastic story.
Is it possible to get a picture?
Yeah. So now I have a Facebook, so afterwards I can send the original drawing, please. And now some of the midway that because it's not finished yet, but the digital artist is actually sharing some of the work just in the social media to inform that he's now working on this project.
I see. I mean, it's a fantastic story, you know.
Background story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
clearly, art and music is very close to your heart. I mean, I think it's a marvelous story, you know, all the way through, and clearly, in your life, art is very central, judging by the story you're telling. And
I was there at the first ISP board meeting in London in April 2001.
Yes. So tell us about 2 things. One is in Dubai, as you go to COP, how do you feel about the COP itself? And because you have a very different program, you planned a very different program than from others. And maybe describe a little bit about that.
So at this moment, I'm not very sure how the Dubai meeting will take place because the information is limited, and there are so many people working on so many different projects, but it doesn't seem that they communicate each other.
No.
So there are a lot of similar projects that are going on in parallel, but they are not very coordinated. So far I'm registered for 3 meetings at the same time on the same date, and then just allow me to be there if I want.
Yeah.
And then I will see how the schedule will go. Yeah, complicated. Because I'll be there only for limited time of the day, the session. For example, I arrive in the morning of 7th of December, and then I have to leave in the morning of 11th. So 7, 8, 9, 10. So only 4 days for me.
Yeah.
And then the big meeting actually took place on 4th of December, which is called Financial Track. So we are involved in the projects such as Net Zero Asset Owners Alliance, Net Zero Alliance, also G Funds. There is a meetings will take place on 4th of December, and I was asked to be there, potential speaker, but I have already issued my tickets, and I will be in 4th of December. I will be in Brussels.
Okay.
Working on talking about European European standards. And then I go to Paris, and I be young generations and business and society. So that is the topic. So typical topics for me was the international financial reporting standards or capital requirements or risk management, systemic risk, even the resolution of the failure of the companies or maybe sustainability issues. It's for the first time I was invited as young generation. I'm not young, but this is apparently because of Music for SDGs. I was invited by the organization to talk about the entertainment insurance and the involvement of young people who care about the future. So without hesitation, I will talk about movies, fashion shows, arts, music, educations, and how we can combine the sustainability and insurance and investments and young people, something like that. So this is a Paris meeting, so I cannot miss. I was not able to miss that.
No.
That's why I have chosen to be in Paris on 6th of December, and then I'm flying to Dubai just after.
And I was in Nairobi, and there was a storyteller talking about the environment, and he was talking about Spirited Away, how the pollution turned the river god into a demon. So this theme where the environment and what we're doing with it's really strong in the movies, in the arts.
When I had the jazz anime concert in New York in 2018, so we rented the theater next to the front of Opera Majestic Theater. There was a small theater, and I just asked the Japanese jazz musicians based in New York. One of them is probably the best jazz guitarist in the history of Japan in the US. And then asked them to perform the Ghibli music songs in jazz. And we had a jazz concert, and I acted like MC. And then I talked about a little bit about the story about each of the Ghibli and anime movies and relationship is a different SDGs topic. For example, when I talk about education of children, and the background music was BGM like from Totoro, the My Neighbor Totoro. And then when I talk about the environmental issues, like coming from Disney, Pocahontas, and also Mononoke, Princess Mononoke is also directly from talking about the environmental protection. So this kind of related subject. And then also we talk about disaster risk reduction, and we just ask singers to sing some Remember Me from the dying parents to the children is connected with those topics. So I do this all the time. So I gave a lecture at the university for the past 5 years in Keio University, the most prestigious private university in Japan, and they are talking about topics in the musical form. So entire lecture has been done in a musical form, so music does not stop. So when the music changes, the students would know the topic has been changed. So, and then the movies is related with the topic, so they would know the topic I'm talking about. And if the students remember what kind of songs was there, they remember my core students in Japan. This is already 5th year. And a number of universities are now being expanded, and then probably we are thinking of exporting this idea to the Asian country, something that I do with anime. And I'm thinking of bringing the same musicians to Hong Kong when we have a conference, the sustainability conference in Hong Kong. So this starting from Teresa, the opening remark speaker, and we are hopefully inviting the Emmanuel Pavel, the president of ISSB from Frankfurt, and we will discuss insurance regulations, sustainability reporting. But at the end, toward the ending, the reception time, we will have a concert inviting the singers and musicians, but on the SDGs topic. So this is something that I'm planning to do in Hong Kong next year.
You're a very busy guy. Lots of fingers in many pots.
Yeah, I mean, so from the other side of the bigwigs, who in some ways people view as the ones who make the decisions. How are they stirred up by the art and the music, by what you do? Does it soften their position? Because very often they end up crystallizing, this is where I stand, this is where our company is, this is our policy, and it's very hard to shift.
So music, art, movies, fashion shows, or maybe education session, whatever. I do some comedies too. Those are just a means for the implementation. So it can be very flexible. Whatever, there's nothing I was not allowed to do. I can use tea ceremony if you want. So there are just a different means for the implementation of the sustainability oriented high-level recommendations.
That's really, really interesting because the governments have made their commitments to emission cuts, and they've done this since 2015, 2016. And so far we've been increasing it. So the implementation needs what you're describing, I think, because the very policy-driven implementation just is not reaching.
Yeah. Currently, the problem is that when I was invited as a panelist at the World Bank IMF conference in Washington, D.C., so you can imagine how serious the atmosphere was, but I just act like normal in my work way. So I use comedies. I can imitate different English accents, and I entertain the audience during the World Bank IMF conference. And I talked about the fairy tale of my 8-year-old daughter, the North Wind and Sun. And this Aesop story is telling us a very important learning. So the North Wind and Sun are competing each other to find out which one is more powerful. And just like they are testing how they are competing each other, how they remove the coat of the gentleman on the street. The north wind couldn't make it, and then the sun just brought the sunshine, and it's too warm, and the man removed his coat on his own. That was kind of very simple, and I brought this book to IMF World Bank conference, and it was well received because the European representative was from Greece, and he was happy that I talked about Greek book. Yes. So it ended up with a very good success. In Europe, they're trying to have a very stringent requirements and too excessive requirements on the green investments to avoid, because otherwise, and the customers have little choice to choose among the different options. And then because of the disclosure requirements, it becomes costly and costly. So green investment is more expensive than the other investments. So now the investors hesitate to invest because of the lower return on this. Not because of the nature of the investment, but because of excessive regulatory requirements. So now this is what I'm trying to communicate with the policymakers. So learn from this story. So we need to produce something like a sun to incentivize the player. Like I always use the analogies and jokes to deliver my message. That has been my tradition for past 20 years.
Richard and I were having this conversation yesterday about how you allow people the ability to make the better choice in an easier way.
Yeah.
And I think what you're saying is actually a little bit more than that, because you want them to really enjoy it as well.
And when I talk about this North Wind and Sun story to the European authorities when I visited Europe, so she challenged against me. So there's like in the US they are talking about there are a lot of politicians who are going to the anti-ESG, just like threatening the companies to go into the sustainability investments to be removed from the business, something like that. It's called anti-ESG kind of movements. And then European authorities tell me that, so are you telling us that US is the sun and Europe is north wind. And I responded, no, this is not what I meant. US is south wind.
Yes. Yes.
So that's something like
Yes,
that.
they're both winds trying to force you.
Yeah, the both winds.
Yes.
So we are talking about sun.
Yes. How do you feel about, certainly from the music side, how do you think music have influenced this?
I think music and art through history has always played an incredibly important role in portraying more than what it says on the tin. Truly great art does not only show a beautiful painting on a canvas or a beautiful object that's been sculptured. Truly great art also makes you reflect and think what's behind the expression. And I think it will always remain the case. And I think perhaps not as obviously, but I think the same thing goes for music. That music has a unique ability to capture and like no other medium has. But I think through history, art and music has been incredibly important, and actually it's been created by some of the most forward thinkers we've had on the planet. But at the time, they were perhaps not recognized as such forward thinkers, and they were actually facing backlashes. And I don't think that's changing. I think it will always be the case. So that whenever you push new ideas through art and music, there will be a resistance, because forward thinkers will always meet resistance.
You traveled a lot. You've seen many different places, and you've been involved, as you say, since you were 6. You've been aware of this need for better respect and better connection with the world, with nature, and from that, how do you feel looking forward? Are you optimistic, or are you where do you sit in where we are today? I mean, this year, the science tells us we have failed to meet many of the things. We have had moments when we've crossed over that hurdle of 1.5 degrees. We have seen the Amazon River in a dry state more than it has ever been. But do you feel from the people's side? How do you feel that yourself?
So I think if you look at the documents of SDGs document adopted in 2015 September, there are 17 SDGs, and they have a lot of the specific requirements for each of the SDGs. There are a lot, and then originally it was supposed to be completed by
2030. Yes.
2030, right?
Yes.
We are already going to 2024.
Yes.
So if you ask me if I'm optimistic of achieving all of those, I'd say that skeptical.
Yes.
So I don't know how many people actually think that all of those will be completed by 2030. It's quite challenging at this moment.
Yes.
So now we need to focus on something, at least the most prioritized ones. Because if you say that, that's impossible, and if you don't do anything, it will not change the world at all. So we need to focus on something very crucial, and that can be done. So my company has chosen the different aspects, but usually the environment and the human rights, and also the community related, the community related matters, is like promoting the business. Those 3 aspects as highest priority, and we are focusing on those topics. We cannot focus on everything. So, and I don't think the insurance company should be responsible for all the SDGs. So now at least some of the topics we are going to proceed. Important is that we should have a good balance. We say balance of yin and yang, actually, to achieving the goal for climate, but not only for the reduction of CO2. We feel that emphasis was too much on the reduction of CO2 emissions, but but only consequence is the reduction of the future emission of CO2. That will not solve the problem. That will just delay the problem a little bit.
Right.
But it does not solve the fundamental situations. So we need to work both on the biodiversity or maybe protecting the forests. So if you destroy the forest for creating the renewable energy power plants, so we are very skeptical about this kind of solutions. So we need to have a good balance between the biodiversity and also the climate actions. So this is one of the standpoints, and we are helping the industry to transform on their own, just like a sun. And then in APEC, the most important keyword is transition. So transition finance, the most most discussed item, especially in Asia Pacific. So when the energy industry is trying to transform, they need some funding. So then we are trying to serve as a financial institution, how we can fund those transition rather than divest from those industry at day one. So the initial, some of the activists did not understand this. And if they just have a transition finance, that would keep some funding for the energy intense industry, and we are criticized by doing so. But if we sell everything and remove all the funding from those companies, so they cannot actually transform their business. Yeah. So this is so the issue. So we would like to have a pragmatic approach, is to help them. But the third point is that we are the largest asset owners. Means that the largest stock owners, the companies traded in Tokyo market, we are the largest in the private sector. So then we have 7,000 companies whose shares are owned by us, and we have a dialogue with each one of them, and report back to us how they plan to transform their business toward sustainability. So this is a kind of, we are not like a cowboys. We are very kind. We are not like, I mean, I don't think they are afraid of us, but still we try to communicate with them to help them understand that our shareholders want them to change their business.
Yeah. I think one of the things I mean, from Richard and myself, we have this aspect by which, at the moment, where people invest, for example, in a renewable energy, the way we think of it is you want to bring in an extra layer where you essentially keep the reserves of the coal and the gas and the oil. You essentially use the money in terms of paying to keep those in the ground, and that allow for that payment to be the one that goes into the investments. So you achieve in part very interesting, where you go and say, where do you make that investment itself? Because these discussions have emphasized scale over the purpose, the achieving a balanced world. That's kind of how I see and what you're reflecting.
And especially important thing is some of the activists went very extreme, so they are just breaking into the international meetings. Yeah. And just physically stop the meetings, and those are regarded as a terrorist.
Yes.
And now some of the activists actually seen from us those groups that we need to call security guards. So this is bad for climate actions, because that has a reputational destroying. And so we need to go to the stage and then exchange the rational discussions with investors and consumers and policymakers, not just breaking to the meeting and the physical threat to those participants. So this happens all the time. So
yeah. Richard?
No, I think it's a pretty sad reflection and statement over where we are, that solving climate issues on a planet is going to invariably force us all to pull together and come together, because otherwise we will not be able to deal with it and we will not have a positive outcome. And what you're seeing instead at the moment is significantly more polarization. There is no willingness to listen to another point of view. And I don't think that's going to bring any form of end results. You actually need to solve it together, because we all inhabit the same space. That's the first physical constraint you're facing, that you cannot really opt out and think you can get away with it, because we're all living here. And secondly, like you're pointing out, with the increased polarization and even violence around climate actions, just increases the alienation of a lot of people that simply cannot square the circle, or it's not a good path forward, and we need to rethink that whole approach, because it will require us to actually come together. Otherwise we will not be able to solve it. And you need to listen to the other point of view. It's not as simple as good and evil. That is a simplification that will not be conducive to reaching the targets we want to reach and the end goal we want to reach, which is kind of to better our planet and our perpetual ability to have life surviving on the planet.
Have you found that certain cultures are more able to follow this kind of thinking?
Well, since I have been working on the policy matters with the government relations kind of people, so everywhere there's a policies. So, but at this moment, the UK governments are closer in terms of feeling to us. So they are helping the business to have a transition. So it's among the European nations, actually UK is actually more friendly to our approach at this moment. And then in the European EU, this UK rather than continental Europe. So Hong Kong, other like Singapore, there is a very pragmatic authority. So we try to international negotiation. So in Asia, we will say that we try to avoid copy and paste from the EU. UK is looking at the external market rather than internal European markets. So the UK rule is more growth oriented. US is they don't care European regulations, so there's no 0% for US to follow Europe approach. So this discussion does not exist.
No. So coming back to the music and the art. So what piece of music do you find most uplift you?
So I'm always a part of jazz team. So I invited lots of different musicians in a different genre, and I invite the usually I like the fusions. So for example, my partner artist based in London is actually a Japanese fusion with Western culture. So it's like wearing kimono as a dress and having the European songs but with Japanese instruments. This kind of fusion is very typical way for us to entertain people. And also I'm singing anime songs in jazz, bossa nova, samba, merengue.
Wow.
So this is my style. So I like jazz. And we invite a lot of different people, like a musical actress. I'm training UK British harpist to practice Japanese anime songs. She is gonna play the beautiful anime song in with harp. So I want to have a diversity in my concert. And one of the amazing concert music piece which was experienced during the APEC meeting, one of the APEC meeting in Jakarta, Indonesia. So that was a very fantastic night. It was a gala dinner hosted by APEC Indonesia. And then generous enough to give away music instruments to all the participants gathering for gala dinner. So everyone, just like a souvenir. But this instrument is called angklung. It's a bamboo-made simple music instruments in Indonesia, which have only one instruments have a number 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In my case, I got 5. This means G. So if we just do this, the sound of G.
Yeah.
And if you have given 4, it means F. So each one is given only one sound. And then conductor is just showing everyone. And if you see your number is pointed, you just do this. And aggregate, it become a music. Believe or not, we just perform the Bohemian Rhapsody of Queen together. And then after this song, we had a standing ovation. It was an APEC gala dinner. Do you know what country, what economy represented? China, Taiwan, already impressive, no?
Yes. Oh yes. Oh yes.
US, Russia,
Yes.
Japan, Korea.
Yes.
No, already 6, but we had 21.
Yes.
Can you believe? We just had the Bohemian Rhapsody together and standing ovation. So this is a perfect evidence that the music connects the people beyond politics.
Of course,
that's an amazing story, and I'm a little bit cognizant about time because I know you have an important event later on tonight, and I think we must be close to the point where you need to make the journey.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's fascinating what you say, and the thing which Richard and I have always expressed is we wish to bring 1 billion of voices into a symphony together, a symphony of 1 billion voices. And I think you've achieved that. You're actually achieving it.
I was saying the URL of the We Are the World. So usually we are just, when we had online music events, the first song or last song is typically We Are the World by Berklee College of Music.
Yes.
And it's like the first half is the like inviting the musicians from all over the world using the music instruments, the local music instruments in different countries. The last part is a translation. The We Are the World is translated into different languages, like Chinese, Japanese, Korean, and Italian, and then Hebrew and Arabic together.
Yes.
So this is another way to show the evidence that music can go beyond politics.
It's been amazing. Thank you for taking part with
and thank you for your time.
For you.
All I can say is, Makoto-san, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure catching you on a fireside chat on a very quick visit to London. Thank you so much for your infinite wisdom and your ideas and your passion for the things that matter. It's a privilege to have spent this time with you. Okay.
Great, an interesting video there, conversation, and very informative by Richard, David, and Makoto, and it speaks volumes. And Collins, how was it?
Oh, thank you, Tim, and amazing, discussion to hear about, Mark and his work about the power of music in politics, in everywhere. And it's inspiring. I would love to hear more and actually to get a chance to see some of his, recorded experiences he had with, his ideas around the music. And so, Tim, thank you. Sorry for the background, a little bit of the noise in the restaurant now. kind of
Okay.
just changing my shift around. How was it for you as we usher in the next guest?
It was awesome. It was incredibly amazing, and I would say, it's interesting to see how powerful music can be. I think we underestimate the power of music, and our guest today just presented to us the magnitude music can do in our lives. And now I think, without further ado, now I think, for the interest of time, I'll allow you, Collins, to introduce Sam, our next guest.
Okay. Probably I'll allow his team to maybe give us a little bit of music break as we get some into the stage for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, sure, sure. In the spirit of the power of music, let's listen some jam by one of our own, Larry Dwayne.
Dignity is the key to unlock your consciousness towards the environment. Yeah, nature is alive and nature has feelings. Don't you hurt its feelings. You are human and just stop being the.
I see our guest is here with us, so I will hold it for now. But at the end of our segment, we'll have to listen to it. So Collins, over to you.
Okay, so thank you, team, and glad to have Sam with us today. And yes, Sam, we have had quite a session the past 2 hours talking about experiences of tree planting projects with the communities from Malawi. We had a story about Fiona and her work in Kenya, working with communities and around promoting seedlings or seeds for trees and working with students in the communities. And lastly, we just had Mark, and he was talking to our colleague Richard about the power of music and how it's a very powerful tool, to the discussions around environment, politics, and so forth. And yeah, we looking forward to hear from you in our last bit of the session. I'll just allow you to introduce yourself. Sorry for my background noise. And yeah, just introduce yourself. Tell us briefly who you are, what you're doing, where you are, whether you are okay, and let's get it going. Over to you, Sam.
All right. Good evening, good morning from wherever you are. My name is Samuel Njoroge, founding director, Roads Holdings Limited, Roads Tours in Nairobi, Kenya. We are a sustainable tourism company, and therefore we believe in environmental consciousness and, also, supporting communities in tourism destinations. Because if we have to talk sustainability, we cannot run away from environment, neither can we do from the communities because they are the drivers for tourism. And therefore, our thinking around sustainable development goals is therefore entrenching communities and also the environment in the tourism destinations into all our works. So I'm glad to be here, and when I see the topic that we have, or the theme that rethinking choices, helping you navigate climate change, then my heart and soul falls deep into that, because if we are not able to rethink our choices about environment or communities, then our company has no business. And therefore, I am happy to join this team, and I really look forward to discussing more and sharing my thoughts with the team. Santeni sana, meaning thank you very much.
Karibu sana, meaning welcome. And nice to have you, Sam. And just to start us off, maybe you can share with us. You talked about promoting sustainable tourism, which is actually what it's a big thing when you talk about green economy. And maybe you can share with us how has it been the journey for you for the Roads Holding Limited tours?
All right. So we started the company in 2015, and since then, what was in our vision is how do we bring a positive change in the way tourism operations happen, infusing community development model. So basically, you understand when we bring community, it means that you're offering the support to the communities. But now in tourism, we all know that tourism is luxury and tourism is more about travel and all that goes with good things like, enjoying life in the beach or by the bush. And therefore, being that we are discussing, the green economy, then it's how we can have sustainable accommodations, sustainable environment, and everything that is within the value chains, including the balance in the food chains. And therefore, I I would say that the journey has not been easy. Of course, also trying to convince even our clients to be part and parcel of. Hello, I think I lost you.
Yes, I can hear you, Sam. Carry on. We can hear you loud and clear.
So you realize that when we talk sustainability and when we talk business, of course you cannot like put away the aspect that the world is also changing. The 19th century traveler is no longer the same as the millennial traveler. They are looking for affordable, sustainable accommodations. Even in such hotels and accommodations, we are also looking at how eco-friendly is the facility. And so our offerings then becomes more sustainable by the sense that we look at the eco-social, governance of facilities that we are working with, so that they can also align well with our offerings and our vision.
Great. And maybe you brought in something interesting when you talked about as you're promoting tourism. And I know I have a colleague of mine called Sadaf who is very passionate about matters to do with tourism, and maybe she'll join in the conversation. Maybe to ask when you talk about doing tourism in a sustainable way, maybe can you maybe share with our audience the importance of preserving natural environments and biodiversity in tourism?
Yeah. So basically, when we bring the aspect of sustainability in tourism, is looking at different levels from the way we think and the way we are, we are consuming the services within the tourism value chains. And this means that, for example, we know that, the climate effect is happening because of so many things that some can only be explained scientifically. But what are our small ways that we can do, especially in the travel spheres? For example, we are advocates of people traveling in groups, because if you travel in group, it means that you are reducing the usage of more vehicles to the same direction, and also you are you are reducing the carbon emissions, because more people in one vehicle, you're definitely cutting down the carbon emission. Another perspective is whereby as a tourist, as a traveler, how can you get engaged meaningfully or responsibly? For example, we know plastics worldwide has become a global challenge. So how can we do that? Because we know when you're on travel, you want to take water, you want to take a soda or any other beverage. So instead of using plastic, then this is where we say, come with your recyclable bottle. And of course, sometimes we also offer that on sale. and so you are able to refill your water, and that way you are going to reduce the harm to the environment, especially in our tourism destinations like the parks, the beach, and even within the accommodation facilities.
Okay, thank you so much, Sam. I mean, you spoke on you touched on the environmental conservation and also on resource management, where talking about ways on how we can reduce waste in tourism and promoting recycling in tourism destination, which is a key thing when you talk about sustainable environment. Now, I want us to shift gears and talk about cultural sensitivities, and maybe ask you. Uh, why is it important for people or for travelers to respect cultural and traditions of people who are in those places they are visiting in, and also for the locals? How should they be able to maintain their traditions, and how important is it?
So I think first is to understand that different communities, different regions, different continents have their own cultures, and people feel well when they are respected and when we appreciate that their culture is unique to them, and we respect that. And I think that's more of a human right based approach, because we are saying that if I don't belong to the community that does one or two, three things different from me, then I appreciate that that is also a biodiversity, and that diversity is also, it's also a good thing, because when, for example, you come to my country, assuming you don't know the language of Swahili, which in Kenya is our common language, then it's something that you would also to learn. Another thing is that, of course, in every culture there are the good things and there are the bad things. But of course, when we respect and understand the community background, then it means you're able to rhyme with them. And that's why we are able to promote the good practices within the cultures and to do all that.
Okay, thank you so much, Sam, and for bringing that out. I think diversity. There is beauty in diversity. When we exhibit our diversity, it brings out the beauty in us, and that's really key. And maybe to ask on issues to do with over tourism, how have you been as an organization been able to try to control that, such that you don't have many tourists going to the same place, and instead allowing them to explore other tourist destination areas?
Amazing. Now that is the most interesting topic that I like to discuss, because our company is modeled on the promotion of smaller destinations. Because as we understand, when we talk of sustainability, is creating a balance between the current situation and the foreseen challenges that might come with the activities that we are doing now. And that's why when we talk of climate effects and climate change, you cannot negate the fact that today, for example, we have a lot of wildlife in Masai Mara. And so every tourist coming to Kenya, they would want to experience Masai Mara, or they would want to have the beauty of Amboseli, seeing the Mount Kilimanjaro. But the question now then is, today there are those wildlife. If we, if we keep doing tours and travels into those specific parks, then other parks will lose the value, and we will have overconsumed one specific destination. And that is why now our company believes in selling smaller destinations. For those of you who know Kenya well, we understand that Kenya has very diverse landscapes, from the beach to the bush, but we have one very unique feature that is not popularly known. That is a peatland. And we know peatlands in most cases they are in Europe, but in Africa we only have two peatlands. And One of the peatlands is known as Ondire wetland. It's based in Kikuyu in Kiambu County. And that is a destination that we as a company are, have concerted all our efforts to conserve, because it's an important bird area, and it's also like the main source of the river. I mean, it's the main water source for Nairobi County and other counties. Meaning, if we are able to promote this destination, the communities around here will get decent jobs. We will create more opportunities for everyone, and we will remove the burden to the major destinations. And for that, I also want to reconnect with something you mentioned about when we are talking of green economy, the circular economy. One of the things we have done is, for example, in Kikuyu, we have a house made out of recycled materials. And this house basically was a project in 2020, where we realized that we were out of business and we had so much time as a family business, and we collected people's waste and people's whatever people could not use, for example, broken furniture, you know, old utensils. We recollected all that because we had time, and that waste we converted it now to a resource. And that's now today a 2-bedroomed guest house, fully furnished and fully kitted. With that, it means that we are reusing, and we are also recycling, and we are also turning waste to a resource.
Great, awesome. And it's, when you talk about the Ondire wetlands, it's something I can relate with, because I mean I've been brought up there, so it's something I've seen growing up, and I agree that it's something ought to be protected with all might, because it's a beautiful scenery. It's a scenery that will attract everyone, and I love the way you've put it that. And it builds up to the conversation that we've been having recently, that there's nothing like waste. It's just a resource that has not been put into its rightful position. And as you've just shared, when you at that time when you were short of business and you collected the plastic papers, those the plastics around there, those at that point they were waste. But when you put them into their rightful position, they became a resource. And now on that, and it just depicts a picture on what can be brought forth from people just changing their mindset on how they relate with what they call quote unquote waste, and rethink their choices. And it forms what we're talking about, rethinking our choices. Us rethinking our choices, that what we're having, this is not waste, but I can create value in it, and it brings money into our pocket that we're going to benefit us. And talking about money, maybe I'll want to get some insights from you when you talk about, as far as the organization is concerned, how do you ensure that in your tourism business that members of the community get to benefit from the proceeds that you get?
As I mentioned, our model is based on sustainability, and sustainability means that we are checking in, our profits, but sharing the same profits back to the community. So it's a profit shared model, whereby, for example, if you come for a tour for 10 days in Kenya as a non-resident, maybe you'll pay 5,000 USD. Out of that 5,000 USD, maybe around, or rather, let's say between 10 to 15% is our pure profit, gross profit. So out of the gross profit, then we can say up 2% or 1% of the gross profit will now go to the community, so that whatever remains now is what we enjoy to further our business and to scale up. And that way, it means that we are able to support, for example, tree growing. We are able to support animal conservation. For example, we have partnered with a gentleman in the UK who does trainings on wildlife conservation, and we are able to facilitate, for example, a class where he can teach some of the schools, how we can conserve our wildlife and how we can protect them. So that is how we do our profit sharing. Of course, since COVID, things have not been very easy for us, having coming from a situation that, we have a lot of challenges, but today things are working better and we are more hopeful that things will turn better.
Okay, thank you so much, Sam. And now let me personalize this conversation, and talk about. I love the way you talked about uh, having a portion of your profits directed to local community initiatives, and it forms part of the conversation, the big conversation we're having this time, where we are telling people to redirect their spending to those people who are making the world better. Talk about exactly what you're doing. Take a portion of your spending and redirect it to, say, what you're doing, a tree planting initiative, that will go along to benefit the community and also the environment. So I clearly resonate with you, and this is a call, and we are calling to people, and it's very encouraging to see that there are people who are doing that. Roads Holding Limited, they have an engagement whereby a portion of their profits, they designate that to initiatives that will benefit the community, and that is the mindset, that is the mind asset shift we are calling people to, and that's really great. And maybe just to personalize this to you, maybe to ask you how do you relate with nature? What comes into your mind when someone mentions to you about nature? How do you relate with nature?
So for me, nature, it's when everything that the supernatural being or the superpower created, and that's God. Of course, now we know that nature is the original form of the earth, and that original form of the earth was, the most suitable place for the human being. But now the human have come to interfere with that naturalness of the landscape, of the air, of the below the sea, every part of what we can see, touch, and hear is what we call nature. And therefore, if we as human beings in this century or in this millennium, we are not able to, conserve and to play our role right, then it means our generations are going to suffer. And before the generations suffer, we will suffer ourselves, because with the polluted air, with no clean water, then we have a lot of health issues. And so that's why we realize that we must now also deploy what we call the nature-based solutions.
Okay, great, nice terminology you brought in, nature-based solution. And it just it tells us that nature has a way of resolving itself. It gives us freely, and even if when we destroy it, it has its own way of restoring itself. And maybe just to shed light to our listeners, what are some of these nature-based solutions that we can call them to, so as to restore back nature to its original course?
So basically, we know some of these challenges
Sam,
that are coming. Yes.
Okay, seems we have some internet issues on
Yes.
his end. But are you there, Sam? Oh, thank you.
Yes, I'm back.
Great. I was just asking, you mentioned about nature-based solution, which is basically, these are ways in which nature can restore itself to its original course. Maybe to shed light to our audiences, maybe can you share some of these nature-based solutions which our audiences can take part in, as a way of taking care of our common home, which is one of our great pillars of conversations that we're having.
Right. So I would wish to say that first, understanding the nature-based solutions is any solution that does not negatively affect that environment or the ecosystem. For example, farming is an activity that everyone has been doing since time, the world was created. And you see, we must farm. But how can we deploy what makes sense to us and also makes sense to the nature? For example, we are talking of chemical use. We are talking of fertilizers, but we can go organic. So that's a solution that will restore our, our how do you call it? It will restore our soils to the naturalness of how they have been. But we also need to understand that sometimes or like when we talk of greenhouse emissions, we are not just talking about the structure, but also like some of these gases that are produced. Like, for example, if you overuse, like, let's say, the chicken waste, or rather what people call that manure, the natural manure, sometimes it might also bring a negative effect. So understanding first, what is positive for the environment is key. So awareness is very important. Number two, deploying also scientific, technologies that are smart, and that can make, nature restore itself. Another thing I see is, human beings were created to be solutions by themselves. It's only that we have decided to become polluters. And therefore, if we can go back and bring back the balance of life and the things like the old people would do, they would not cut trees, but they would grow more. They would not just go killing animals to eat meat, but they could also balance with, organic, or what we call the vegetables that just grow traditionally. And then we balance all that, then it means we are going to let nature heal itself. And that is why you see, for example, when we go into construction, people want to do every type of beautiful design, but they don't care how the environment is affected. For example, we want to have the most beautiful kitchen or sitting room lounge fittings, and we want to cut trees, yet we can recycle maybe plastic and reuse it so that we remove it from where it's not supposed to be, but we also reduce the cutting of trees so that we have the tree cover that is required to reduce the excess heat in the air and all that.
Great, great. Thank you. Nice nuggets there from you, Sam. And just to take us back, to the tourism topic that you're talking about, and maybe COP28 is happening. It's in Dubai, and great conversations are being discussed there that are meant, to speed the realization of the sustainable goals, SDGs by 2030. And maybe from your background, from where you sit in the tourism industry, what are some of the regulations that you would propose, to be brought forth to ensure that we actualize the realization of these SDG goals by 2030 in the tourism sector?
So I think I can speak here with a lot of authority in terms of tourism spheres, and I would say that for us to achieve the visions we have by 2030 of the millennium of the Sustainable Development Goals, then we must travel sustainably. We must bring the aspect of even like the electric vehicles to the industry more, so that we can contribute at least even 1% of carbon emission reduction through travel. Because remember, some of the biggest carbon emitters are travel equipment. So I don't know, is that the right thing? The travel machines, from the airplanes that we take traveling from one country to the other, from the vehicles we enjoy, driving from one destination to the other. So I think we must embrace, clean technology and clean energies into the tourism sector, and also offering decent jobs to local communities so that we can distribute, the wealth of tourism to the indigenous communities and to the local communities that are, at the community grassroots level. Other than just, for example, I have seen some companies where they would come from Asia or from Europe or America, and they want to bring their local, their tour leaders or tour consultants from that direction to, to a community like in Masai Mara. I think that should not be happening at this age, because we are demeaning some people a livelihood, and then we want to talk of partnership for goals, but how do we strike that balance? So I feel that we should empower our grassroots communities to be trained, to be, to get that technology transfer that will enhance their work, even with the people abroad there. And with that kind of a setup, then everyone wins.
Okay, great. I mean, I can't get enough of this conversation, but again, time is not on our side, and maybe as we wrap it up, maybe an inspiration to someone who would want to venture in this industry, and and he's looking at Sam, and he's looking at the milestone that you've made, and he's admiring to get to where you are in a sustainable way. Which words do you have for him?
I think my parting shot would be, it's not an easy thing, but it is doable. So get started, start from where you are, take use of the small resources that you have, and keep moving. The sky is not the limit, because you can move further than that.
Thank you so much. Interesting conversation we've had. Collins, you have any question to Sam?
Thanks, Tim, and thanks, Sam. Not a question per se, but just inspired by hearing the amazing work that Sam is doing, and just to say, well done, and you are raising some critical, issues that actually we need to have that discussion on a global level, at a national level, and also actually to get into influencing how we drive our policy into practice as it pertains our travel industry. And yes, I agree with you, because eco-friendly, green travel. Sometimes when everything is about travel. When you're talking about just a holiday season, and you are coming out of the comfort of the city and you want to relax, in so many cases we do forget about the aspect about being so conscious of the environment, and I think that's a very important aspect that you have mentioned: awareness and capacity building, and for the indigenous communities, bringing on their knowledge into that space, just to strike that balance to ensure that yes, we have to drive towards sustainable travel, but also livelihoods for the communities that actually are the custodians of the resources that we actually enjoy. So right, and I hope that we pick up these discussions further with different teams across the continent and the continents, to share our experiences on this topic. So thank you much, Sam. I really appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, and have a lovely night, have a lovely afternoon, morning, from wherever you are watching us from.
Okay, great. Sam, before you leave, maybe you can share some of your contacts in case someone would want to reach out to you.
All right. Do I put them on the chat, or
it is better? Maybe if you have a website, maybe you can just share.
All right. I am just doing that right now. It's right on the chat.
Okay.
It's roads tours africa.com, because our vision is greater than just being in Kenya, but we are saying Africa, long live Africa.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sam. It's been nice having you here, and enjoying the conversation that we've had, and and just say thank you so much, Collins. We're almost winding up. Maybe a few reflections on today's conversation. What was your highlight for today's session, second session?
Yeah, thank you, Tim, and picking it up from the discussion we had earlier about the stories. Actually, it's all revolving around communities and the aspect of a green planet, which means that I was just reflecting on what Sam is saying, and something came on my mind. If our cities went into a blackout for 1 week, and we all, you know, rush to our, communities, our rural setups, what will that mean? So it means that, the people that actually are taking care of the resources that we enjoy when we are, on our holidays for tourism and everything, have a stake when we actually discussing matters to do with climate action. And I believe the things that Sam has mentioned are very key, and we just need to get into that mood of awareness. As I mentioned earlier, there is this excitement that comes, when you are flying on a plane or traveling to a tourist attraction site, and it, quite often we might forget about that aspect that, hey, maybe I need to plant a tree, I need to do away with my plastic, I need to just be conscious of leaving the place I've enjoyed a better place than how I found it. And so great, and that's how I see it. Let's nurture nature, as Fiona told us in her discussion earlier.
I cannot agree more. I cannot agree more, Collins. And I just resonate with you. And for me, what came out clear is it's the rethinking choices campaign. I think it's just timely from the conversations that we've had today. Starting from the meditation, where we told us to acknowledge God, as the origin of knowledge, and then the call the recording by Richard about music, telling us to rethink our how powerful music can be, and also listening to Sam talks about rethinking how we do our tourism. So I feel like rethinking our choices is the only way we'll be able to navigate through climate change. That has come out clear in this session, and I believe that moving forward, if we do that, we'll be able to to fare well amid this great challenge. I see David M is with us here. David, do you have something to add on that as we wrap it up?
Tim, I don't think I have much to add right now because a lot has been said and everything is interesting here. I think we are running on. I don't have much. I just wish you guys a good night. Yeah, but I really like the speaker we just left, man. That was awesome because he also connected business with what we are doing. I think David was addressing the issues to do with investment, issues with the organization like the student body standing for themselves. So he brought up the issues to do with the business, how we can also connect business with the climate thing and what we're doing. So that was just awesome. I don't want to add much. So thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much. And we call it a wrap for the second session, but to our audience, stay put for that session, which will be 10 p.m. Nairobi time. That will be also it will be 12 a.m. midnight Karachi time, and just Karachi time, and also Tokyo 4 a.m. So just stay put in our next session and get to enjoy more of this content. So from Nairobi, we say bye bye.